Hello and welcome back to another episode of Nighttime. I'm one of your hosts, Maddie Glass, and today we will be talking about college lacrosse, the UCF softball team, and college basketball. Stay tuned because Nighttime starts right now.
Things gon' change when I really hit the field. Undefeated champs, man, you know what's the deal. Tryna find a kid, I'm in the field doing drills. Boy, you just a sucker, you ain't never keep it real. 3 rings in my hand, I'm a warrior to the max. When I hang it up, they gon' have to give me plaques. Step up in the building and I only bring the facts. When I make a highlight, they gon' replay, run it back. Okay, always locked in, now I don't got time to lax. Saying he the best, he could take a lap. Batted 1,000 when you check the stats. Boy, is you ready? You ain't gotta ask.
Welcome back, and starting off the show, we're going to talk about men's college lacrosse. Joining us on the couch is Jared and Matthew, but I think Maddie's going to lead us off with one of the top teams in the nation.
Yes, well, we have another new sport for you here on Nighttime, and I'm going to just start it off. Duke is the #1 overall ranked team in college lacrosse. They've started the season 4-0, and last season they were actually the #1 overall seed going into the tournament, but did lose to Notre Dame in the championship. But this season they're just absolutely dominant. The closest game they've had was 8-goal win. So they're second in the country in goals per game with 20.8, have a 61% face-off percentage, and actually a player I want to talk about is Brennan O'Neill, because we were having this discussion before the show, and I feel confident saying he is the LeBron James of college lacrosse. Maybe he's just the face of Duke lacrosse, but he's definitely the face of, the league as a whole. Last season, he led the Blue Devils with 55 goals and 42 assists and was named ACC Offensive Player of the Year. He also has experience with USA Lacrosse, being the only collegiate player to be named on the roster, and actually won the tournament's most outstanding player. And this season, he's off to another great start. Through 4 games, he already has 17 goals and 11 assists and has a shot percentage of 42, which is very good for college lacrosse. So Duke is definitely looking for their first national championship since 2014, and I think this might be the year. I don't know.
Well, they're definitely like a really good team, but I will have to point out, who have they played so far this year?
They have a little bit of a soft schedule.
Yeah, they have a Mickey
They
Mouse
do.
schedule.
Yeah, it's been easy.
Bellarmine, High Point, St. Joseph's, and Jacksonville.
Yes.
So,
yes.
Not exactly the powerhouses of
But they're
men's lacrosse.
dominating those opponents.
Hey, I mean, I guess the wins all count the same. 1-0 every single
They'll
week.
get into conference play, and the ACC, as we've all noticed, is probably the best conference in college lacrosse. So speaking of another ACC team, Jared, you have the #2 team. Tell us about them.
Here's the thing about the #2 team, a.k.a. Virginia. And here's the thing about Brendan O'Neill. He might be the LeBron James of college lacrosse.
Oh, my
but
God.
LeBron James is on the Lakers, who are not the #1 team in the NBA. And Duke should not be the #1 team in the NBA as well. #2 ranked Virginia is 3-0 right now, and they beat 3 straight top 20 teams, all ranked, by the way. So they're not getting a cupcake schedule like Duke is getting. So I think that Virginia is super slept on. I think that they need to bring back, they used to be a dynasty. They are actually, if we're making comparisons, they're the Pittsburgh Steelers of college lacrosse because they have 6 rings. 4 of them were from their first coach, and their last 2 were from the same coach that they have right now. So it really is kind of exactly like the Pittsburgh Steelers, but Virginia is absolutely balling. I don't understand why they're ranked #2 right now. I mean, their best player, he is honestly tied with their second best player in goals scored right now with 10 each. 10 each, like I said. And they have a way harder schedule. So I think that Virginia should be #1 over Duke. Sorry. I know that they have one more win, but all of their opponents have been sorry. So that's why I think Virginia should be #1.
I think you make a pretty good case. I think having like such a tough schedule is really important. And like you said, Peyton and McCabe Millen are both tied for goals, but McCabe is actually a freshman, which is very interesting because he's leading them. So I think Virginia is going to be really good for a lot of years to come.
Yeah, I would agree.
I think we're going to stay kind of in that region where I'm going to the Big Ten this time. I have Maryland. That's, like you said, a tough schedule. Maryland has had 4 wins this year. They're 4-0, all against ranked teams, 2 in overtime. They were one of the best teams in the country. They've won a national championship 2 years ago in 2022. And they have a goal scored differential of +15, and they have a total of 49 goals scored on the year. They're winning face-offs at like a really high rate. They're 68-32, and their shot percentage is 31.2%. They're one of the top teams in the nation. Like I said, they're not doing it against like any cupcake schedules. I like Duke, and I also don't know why Maryland is ranked, I believe, number 4 right now in the country.
3.
Oh, number 3, yeah, excuse me.
They moved up.
Yeah. So I don't know exactly why they're stuck at 3 right now, but I assume that they're going to move up come like the next week's rankings, in all honesty.
And they actually have a very important matchup on Sunday against Notre Dame, who is currently the number 4 overall team. Matthew, I know they're the defending champions, but tell me about their season this season.
Look, all right, they were number 1 coming into the season, and they had some pretty good wins. 25-3 against Cleveland State, 21-8 against Marquette. They lost to ranked Georgetown 10-11, and that caused them to take a tumble. But I still think this is a really good team. All right, they play really good offense, but what I love is the defense. All right, they have one of the best goalies in the entire league. He just won ACC Defensive Player of the Year, and they have 102 ground balls on the season, right? So they're getting those extra possessions. They're playing good defense, and they only had 35 turnovers on the year too. Right now they have 18.67 goals per game, and they're only allowing like 7. So I think this is a team that is just solid all around, and honestly, I think that they repeat. I do.
Oh, come on.
No, I do, and here's why, all right? That championship DNA. You know how many returning players they have from that championship season this season? They got the Kavanaugh brothers, Jake Taylor. This is a team that retained a lot of talent, and when you win a ring, you win another one, all right? And they won another one. I'm calling it now.
I mean, they just lost to like almost an unranked team.
Georgetown's a ranked team.
Almost unranked. So. But I'll give you that they lost by 1.
Yeah.
So I mean, it could have just not been.
overtime,
Yeah, it could have just not been their day. So I see where you're coming from. I think that they honestly didn't they fall to 6 now.
Yeah, I think
That's a fall from grace right there. I
5
don't
spot.
think
It seems like a lot.
that
I'm sorry.
does seem like a big drop.
Because I think number 4 is like Denver right now.
Yes.
Okay, that's just disrespectful.
Yeah.
That's just disrespectful.
So, Matthew, what do you think is like going to stand in the way of that repeat if they don't repeat?
I think it's just finishing out games. I mean, the loss to Georgetown, they couldn't create separation against a ranked team. And I will say, Cleveland State, Marquette, they aren't the greatest opponents, but they play dominant. And I think that if they continue to play dominant offense, there's no one they can't beat. They just have to close out games.
Yeah, well, that's all the time we have for lacrosse today. Maybe later on in the season we'll check back in. But moving on to my nightlight, it is a UCF baseball player who has started the season hitting .400. Stay tuned for when we come back.
Hello, my name is Tyler Brownrigg. I hope you're enjoying watching whatever show it is that's playing right now here on Hitting the Field Network. And if you're interested in more of our shows or want to know more about the one you're currently watching, don't worry, I'm here to tell you. Our week starts off on Mondays with HTF Bets, hosted by the Bets Boys, Andrew Montana, Ezra Hines, and Giovanni St. Cyrin. You can catch that show live Mondays at noon for all things betting in sports. I highly recommend it. And then you can follow it off on Tuesday with The Combine, hosted by the illustrious Ty Patton. If you're in for a more laid-back, kind of podcast-style show, a lot more casual, that is definitely the show for you. Maybe you'll catch some Ty Squared action with me on there. Wednesdays, every week, you'll be able to catch the vlog, learn about what's going on behind the scenes here in the studio at Hitting the Field, get to know more about us, especially the people behind the camera, who they are, and what we do to make these shows every week. And on Thursdays, live at noon, you can watch the main show with me as your host every Thursday, where we'll be covering all of the major storylines for any sport, be it football, basketball, hockey, soccer, you name it, we'll be talking about it on the main show. And then Friday, you can watch Nighttime with your hosts, Maddie Glass and Patrick Previty, for all things college sports, especially with a focus on UCF sports and maybe the ones you haven't heard about so often, like tennis or women's track and field. It can be anything college on Nighttime. And if you're interested in joining Hitting the Field and you're a UCF student, DM us on any of our social medias at Hitting the Field, and also give us a follow on all those and subscribe to this channel if you want to catch more of our content. But enjoy the rest of your show. As always, I'm Tyler Brownrigg, and I'll be seeing you on Main Show.
It is junior infielder Andrew Estrella. He transferred from Stetson this season, has 2 home runs, 12 RBIs, and has been really good for the Knights. Sorry, Andrew made me laugh. All right, let's transition into softball. We have Madeline and Justice joining us, but I'm just going to run through the results really quickly of recent softball games. So the Knights lost to number 18 Mississippi State, lost to number 23 Oregon in a bunch of one-score games, and then lost by multiple scores to 5-1 to number 8 Mizzou and 7-2 Oregon State. Justice, what are your main takeaways from this tournament stretch?
My main takeaway is that you could sit there and you could be concerned with what's going on. You lose to these ranked teams. They haven't been able to get a ranked win. There's a lot of hype coming in the season. The players want to make it to the College World Series. There's 11 seniors. This is kind of their year 23, their last dance for them, so they want to make a big impact. I'm not too worried about it. They only lost by 1 run to Mississippi State and Oregon, and they lost 3-0 to number 5 ranked Tennessee, who played in the World Series last year. So if you can go 7 innings and only lose 3-0 to a team like Tennessee, you're kind of on the right track. This next slate of games coming up in the Knights Classic, and then afterwards they play the first Big 12 Conference Series against Kansas. It's kind of must win. You have 10 games that you kind of have to win out, and then you have to play number 3 ranked Oklahoma State, then number 2 ranked Texas. The gauntlet starts getting a lot more difficult, so you got to pick up these easy wins now.
All right, thank you for that, Justice. And then Madeline, making her on-air debut, by the way, welcome to the show. Do you just want to tell me what you took away from this tournament stretch, or anybody that played particularly well?
Yeah, definitely. It was a collegiate class game, the Mary Nutter collegiate class, and they played this tournament back in 2017. And they actually did pretty good 1-1 back in 2017. So, even though this one, maybe they kind of were on a little bit of a loss streak, they really pulled it in to do 7-2 against Oregon. That is truly incredible. I have a few players actually that really stood out to me. The great thing about softball, I played softball for 6 years, so I know it's all about teamwork. So it's really hard to just hit them with a MVP. I have to call out Shannon Doherty, who's the first base. She was filing out to right field, helped advance Humphreys to third. She did really good as well. Stormy Kozolnik got an RBI, as well as Ashley Griffin and Savannah Adams RBIs, which were singles, which were incredible. And we had 4 pitchers throughout the game because you were telling me they were going through they got some new pitchers. Yeah,
so what happened in the Clearwater Classic, they only, I believe, got 2 games in that, and then the last 3 were canceled. So they pretty much had almost a week of no game action. And Coach Baird told me that they were going to see a lot of pitchers anyway because a lot of them were rested. They were giving them game time action in practice. So she told me that when they got into the Mary Nutter Classic in California, that they were going to see a lot of pitchers anyway. So that's what you saw in the game against San Diego. We had 4 pitchers play. Grace Jewell especially did great in the tournament.
Jewell,
5
incredible.
innings, 2/3, no earned runs. Sona Holligen, she did great in the circle. 6 innings pitched in the Oregon State victory. Only 1 earned run, but she also did great at the plate. She hit 2 for 4 and also scored a run.
Yeah, she absolutely. I had Grace on here as well. She absolutely nailed it. Pitchers truly control the whole game, so we have to give a little respect to the pitchers. Also, just wanted to point out that Angelina DeVoe, she closed out the game. She recorded the game's final out and collected her first collegiate save in that moment. So congrats, Angelina. Great job, guys. And yeah, I just really think they did great, throughout, all in all with everything,
No,
really closed that win in.
Absolutely. And before we move on to the preview of what is to come for UCF softball, I did also have a player that I wanted to highlight, Janisha Rowe. She's leading the team, she's second in the team in hits, and she's batting .450. And through the first 10 games, she batted .500. She's definitely one of the better hitters on the team, and I think that she's definitely a player to continue to look out for. Now, Justice, I know you're super confident in this team. You're saying there's nothing to worry about, and honestly, I kind of agree with you to a certain extent because obviously we've played so many ranked teams, and at the end of the day, we're really kind of just at the mercy of our own schedule. There's so much. But looking ahead, is there anything that you see for this team that they need to improve on or they need to perhaps change in a way that can help us get more wins, especially against some of these ranked teams? Or is that not exactly a priority on the schedule?
I think they just got to focus just one game at a time. The problem with a game against, I believe it was Missouri, you have to have your key players play up to what they're capable of. So Sarah Willis, she was the AAC unanimous pitcher of the year last year. She had a sub-2 ERA. She was fantastic. But in the game against Missouri, she went, I believe, 6 innings and allowed 5 earned runs. And I love Sarah Willis. She's like a
We love you,
phenomenal
Sarah.
player. But if you're going to compete against teams like Oklahoma, Oklahoma State, Texas, these top teams, everybody has to be on the same track, and they have to be competing to their utmost abilities. So I think something like that, really when you look at the stats, everything's kind of near the bottom, but they haven't played as many games as the other people in the conference, so it's tough to see. The best thing that UCF has been able to do is timely pitching. People like Angelina DeVoe, people like Grace Jewell, their bullpen, their relief when they come in, they're very good. They're very good at getting out of jams, bases loaded. We've seen that early in the year, and they've been able to get out of it. So that's going to translate, and that's going to correlate down the line very well for them, I think, when they get in these high leverage, very high stress spots.
Of course. Also to mention really quick that we've only really been losing by like 1 or 2.
Yeah.
So, and against ranked schools as well, that's pretty good, I would say. So I'd still say go Knights, charge on.
And UCF is hosting the Knights Classic this weekend. Mads, can you tell me a little bit about what to expect from that?
Knights Classic, yeah. Well, we're going up against a few teams there. Do you have actually more to talk about on this one as well?
Yeah, I'm actually going to probably be reporting on this. I'll be on the Sunday game. We're playing Princeton twice. We're playing Kennesaw State. I don't want Coach Bear and UCF, they don't like to overlook opponents, and they don't want to make, seem like it's going to be an easy stretch. But it's a nice, change of pace compared to what's going to happen afterwards. Their next ranked opponent is going to be number 22 South Carolina, and after that they have to play number 3 Oklahoma State. So, just to get, I guess, these easy wins out of the way would be good for them before they have to go against the Big 12.
Yeah, this is a very important 10-game stretch, but that's actually all the time we have for nighttime. This segment. Patrick, why don't you take away to your nightlight?
Yeah, my nightlight is a player on the UCF women's basketball team who transferred in from LSU. She had a career high in points against number 5 Texas and did most of her damage in the third quarter. Find out who she is after the break.
Jack, buddy, why are you here?
I don't really understand why I'm here. I got called a delusional fan. I just don't understand why I'm delusional if I think Kirk Cousins had the best mustache in the league.
Well, Jack, buddy, I don't want to be the one to tell you this, but I don't think anybody looks cool in handlebars.
But they're back, man. They're back.
They're not. They're not. Sometimes you just got to face the hard truth. It's right there in front of you. All these people, they're calling you delusional, but sometimes you got to worry about, am I projecting? Is it me? And in this
Let me
case,
tell you something, bud. It could never be me. Anything I say is factual and truth, and that's why the Vikings are going 16-1 this year.
Organization, you have to look at your roster and say, I've had Kirk O'Thuggins for 6 years. Maybe it's time to move on.
There is no moving on from Perk Thuggins and Justin Jefferson.
Do you think that maybe this all started just because of a little disappointment?
Nothing has started. This is how I live, and I am not delusional. I'm a prophet.
Tamia Ware, she scored 16 points, and 14 of which came in the third quarter, and she made 3 threes on the game.
Yeah, and now we're going to transition it into college basketball, starting with UCF. So they've had a little bit of an up and down season, but have just got back on track after losing 4 straight, beating Texas Tech and Oklahoma State. We're going to go into a little bit of the Big 12 tournament outlook. They will likely play the 14th seed in the first round, which could possibly be West Virginia, Oklahoma State, or Cincinnati. Giovanni, I'll start with you. Which of those opponents do you want the Knights to face the most?
I'll probably go West Virginia because I know they just lost to, they did just lose to Cincinnati a few weeks ago, but they did beat OSU last night. So it's either West Virginia or OSU. I'm fine with either one of those.
Patrick, do you have any thoughts on who you want to play?
Oh, no, I completely agree. I mean, honestly, I think just in general, this Big 12 tournament, there aren't a ton of expectations right now, just with the way that the team is playing, so I wouldn't really look too far into it.
Yes, we'll check in more on that in a couple weeks when we do our whole conference tournament outlook. But we're going to focus on a little game that we came up with called In or Out. And we have a few topics that we're going to talk about for teams if we're in or out on it. So let's just start with the Florida Gators. They are ranked number 24 in the AP poll, have their first 20-win regular season since 2017. So let's just start. Okay, everyone hold up their cards.
I'm
thinking. Hold on.
I already have mine decided.
Wait, so is it just like making the tournament or?
No, just are you like? Do you think they're like good? Like, are you in on
Do you think they can make a deep run? I already know your feeling about SEC
Deep
basketball.
How
This is
deep is
Florida,
deep?
right?
Like Sweet 16?
Yeah, I'd say
We'll call it that. That's crazy.
Elite
Is this
Eight,
Florida?
Elite Eight.
Crazy to
This
say
is
that,
Florida
but-
that we're
Yeah.
talking about?
I'm in.
I'm out.
I'm out.
I'm in because I got that they're the 7th best rebounding team in the nation, 12th best scoring team, and they got wins over Kentucky and Auburn. So they're pretty good.
I don't. Okay.
Well, my
Jack?
bad. I'm the same way. They have a great front court with the rebounding, and beating Kentucky on the road is something to be said for. So Mike White, not a great coach, but they can make a Sweet 16 run for sure.
I'm out. I know you said they have a great front court. I am worried about their guards, and I think guards are the most important thing in March Madness play. Giovanni, are you in or out on the Gators?
I'm out because Florida is honestly a regular season merchants, and they never make it past the first
They play in the
rounds.
SEC, by the way.
Yeah, I know.
Tough basketball conference.
SEC is like the Big 12 of football.
ACC.
Absolutely no defense.
ACC's the best basketball.
No defense and a bunch of frauds.
Okay, so going into March Madness, do you think they have the potential to make a run?
No. I mean, like I said,
Can they win a game?
they can win one game
Okay.
and they'll
Only
be out
one
the second
game?
round. Florida, they're the type to get upset. They're an upset team.
Do you think they'll win the SEC championship?
No, not with them Kentucky
I know you're
boys.
a huge Kentucky guy.
Yeah, Rob Dillingham, he gonna take it home, man. Reed Shepard.
It's almost like Florida just beat Kentucky, but
It's
who
almost
knows?
like it's a regular
Who's
season
counting?
game. I
Who's
just
counting,
said they're
I guess?
regular season merchants. Why am I next to Joe?
All right. Well, moving into UConn, will they be the first team to repeat since Florida back in the mid-2000s? I'm gonna go without.
I'm out.
Are we all out except
No,
for Giovanni?
Giovanni's in.
Okay.
Typical.
How about we'll start with you,
Yeah, we'll
Giovanni?
start with
Why are you
Giovanni.
in on Florida, UConn repeating?
Well, it obviously is very hard to repeat in NCAA, but they did lose Jordan Hawkins, who is NBA caliber, but they're still third in top 25, and they're still best in their conference. So I got faith at UConn. They could do it. Why not?
Yeah, they recently dropped to number 3 in the AP poll after losing to Creighton, actually kind of getting dominated by
They
Creighton.
got smoked by Creighton.
Yeah, I would say no team has looked better than UConn this season, but only 7 teams ever have repeated. I just think it's so hard in March Madness. It's so unpredictable. And, you know, other teams are looking good. Like Houston is an option. I think it's really hard to do, but I still feel like they're the easy favorite.
Yeah, and honestly, to Giovanni's point, though, they did win against Creighton earlier in the year, and they are 15-0 at home. Now, that doesn't really do much for you in the tournament exactly, but anything can happen. It's difficult to repeat, but,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
we've seen, like, more crazy things happen in tournaments, so.
Jack, what are your thoughts on UConn being the first repeat champion?
I
since
mean,
Florida?
I don't love it just because it is hard to repeat. And to your point, I would say Houston has shown less weaknesses than UConn. UConn, like you just said, did get blown out by Creighton, and Houston has absolutely dominated offensively and defensively in one of the best conferences in the Big 12.
Absolutely.
All right, yeah. And now we are going to transition into the USF Bulls. They're in the midst of a historic season. Are you in or out on the Bulls?
I'm in.
I'm in.
I'm in.
I'm so in.
Of course, you're the only one
Jack,
who's
okay.
out.
All right,
Jack
speak
is
for
wearing
yourself.
USF colors.
Who's a hater?
No, I'm just a realist. USF has 0 Quad 1 wins. For people that don't know what Quad 1 is, it's home games.
Is FAU not a quad 1 win?
No.
They were ranked when they beat them.
Well, they're not, 1 through 30 right now.
Actually.
And so a Quad 1 win, if you let me finish, is a team. If you play them at home, it has to be a team between 1 through 30, and if you play them on the road, it has to be a team ranked 1 through 75. And they have 2 Quad 4 losses, which is literally the worst teams in the NCAA basketball. So no, I'm not out on them. They got to win the conference to get in. I don't really care what the tournament rank, what their AP ranking says. They don't really matter when it comes to at large bids. So if they win their conference, obviously they get a bid, but I don't love them.
I think they are going to win their conference. I'm not saying they're going to win the college championship or anything, but they're on a 13-game winning streak right now, 21-5, 14-1 in conference play, and I think they're kind of similar to that FAU team last year. And by the way, they are doing this with a new head coach and 12 new players, and were picked to finish 9th in the conference preseason poll. So it's just a completely unexpected run and kind of historic. I don't know, Patrick, your thoughts on them?
Yeah, they're 11th seed in the latest bracketology. I mean, I don't have the quad 1 wins.
They
and
do
then
have.
that
They
all
don't.
Jack
They
is
don't.
confirmed.
They're looking
right in
up.
front
They
of
don't.
They have
They
0
don't.
quad
I
1 wins,
looked
but
it up.
they have 1, 2, 3, 4. They have 5 quad 2 wins.
Yikes.
That's pretty good.
That's weird. I
Guys,
didn't say
Look,
quad
some of these teams
but
in this tournament aren't going to be like very good at all. They're not going to have any quad 1 wins.
Give me
that's
Charleston.
Is Jack really a
Give me
reliable
Charleston to
source?
win the conference. Give me Charleston to win the conference. Yeah. The 49ers. They're good. That's a good basketball team right there.
All right, Giovanni, why are you in on the?
That's funny
USF?
because in my notes, I actually put that they'll have a similar run to FAU, Maddie. So I think,
Yes.
ball heads, we think alike, man. And, it's their first time in program history that they're top 25. Why not this year?
It's the
for
first
them?
time, they've received any votes. So, yeah.
Well, that's pretty good, I guess.
Sorry, I'm a little all over the place today. But next is a conversation that has been just taking over sports this week. Court storming. After Duke's Kyle Flipowski was caught in the middle of a storming court against Wake Forest. Are you in or out on court storming?
Okay, looks like
Ow.
I'm the only
all
one
the
who's
way in.
out.
Give me a
I'm the only
break.
one
Just
who's
get out the way, bro.
Give
Just
me a
walk
break.
out the
Oh
way.
my
It's not
goodness.
that hard to not run into somebody, man. It's not that hard to
The
coordinate.
same
where
thing
you're-
could be like said for the fans, I feel.
No, yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
Oh, is that
tell the fans
what
to
you're referring to?
Watch
Okay.
where you're going. It's
I
that simple.
honestly
Yeah,
feel
let's
like
start with Patrick.
this would be like my only Karen moment. I just think as currently constructed, it can be dangerous. Like a player could get hurt. Like I know like these last 2 instances with Flip and Caitlin Clark, are kind of like being pushed like to the rug because of like a flop and like a guy who wasn't really injured, but somebody could get hurt. So I just think like they just need more security. Also, like half of the conferences do have like major fines in place for this sort of stuff. So I just think that
like a Duke, you're not allowed to storm the court.
yeah, I'm not arguing for what like Jay Billis said, where it was like
They should
like
be
give a
arrested?
citation to
Yeah.
every student that did it or whatever and hold them all like detain them. I'm not arguing that, but just gotta kind of fix it because I feel like something bad could happen. Also, I think court storming is kind of lame whenever your program kind of sucks. Just
I
in general.
disagree.
I honestly,
That is so dumb.
I think it's lame.
I think you have to
dumb.
have, you have to have like a decent program, like who wins somewhat, and then if you win against a big name school or like in a big like game that means something, then I think you can storm the court. But if you're like a lowly team that's like kind of whatever, I don't really think. I just think that you kind of suck and you don't
I
really
have to say,
deserve
Wake
to like
Forest
celebrate
was
that
favored
much
in
for
the game
anything
where
that
they stormed
matters.
the court.
We just talked about UCF playing like the 11th seed Oklahoma State, and court storming versus Kansas was absolutely awesome.
It was valid. It was valid.
I think I'm
College
just
sports-
salty a little bit because I didn't go to the game.
College
and
sports
I
is made
missed
off
it.
atmosphere, and when there's field storming and court storming, that's what helps make the atmosphere electric.
I never
I
thought
don't
I'd hear Jack
I
spitting, but
don't
he's spitting right
understand
now.
how we
I ain't
don't
gonna
like
lie.
court storming. Sure, it's dangerous, but that's the thrill of it. That's the thrill.
I think court storming is what makes like the environment of college sports so
Exactly.
awesome. And I think you just have to be smart. Like fans, if you're rushing the court, be aware of your surroundings. Don't run into players. And
Yeah,
if you're
Maddie,
an
they'll
opposing
listen
team,
to you.
you know this is coming. Make your way to the bench, up the security. So there's steps they can take to make it safer. But I think court storming should always be around.
How many Capri Suns do you think these students are on when they're court storming to be aware of their surroundings, Maddie?
Jack makes
Okay.
another great point.
Jack is cooking. But okay, what about how Wake Forest was favored in the game? Do you still think they should be able to court storm?
That's more what I was referring
Wait,
to.
they were favored?
They were favored in
Yeah.
this game.
Dude,
Then why did they court storm?
If it was up to me, I'll be court storming against like Stetson. I mean like
That takes
we
away
court
from
storm
like
back
the
when-
meaning of the,
Yeah,
of the court storm.
I think it's pointless if you're stork corming against a team like that.
Court storming.
Yeah. So he knows what he's talking about. I say keep court storming alive, and I say do it more. Do it more.
All right, let's move on to TikTok sensation Jared McCain, a player for Duke. Are you in or out on Jared McCain?
Maddie, can you sing the song, please?
I'm 2 days into college.
I think we're all in.
We're all in?
We're all in on Jared McCain. Pause. I think he is.
Wow.
Anytime you can shoot 46, 41, and 86
He's
points
a
in college,
freshman.
I'm in. Yeah.
All right, Jack Giovanni, are you in?
Yeah, I'm in.
And-
He's trendy. He likes to have fun, but the most important part is that he can hoop, man. That's all
Yeah.
we care about at the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean, me and him have the same kind of like
What?
we watched the same players growing up. We played a similar style. What I like about McCain is that we both can create our own shot at all 3 levels.
Are y'all in or are you out on that take?
Are we out on Jack's basketball team?
We all can create shots. We both can create shots at all 3 levels of the game. Pass the ball with great vision. But the thing I like most about Jared McCain with his college game at Duke and stuff like that is that he plays off the ball really well. And I appreciate players like that because not many players, him included, don't move off the ball.
Can you play off the ball, Jack?
Of course I play. Man, I play everything.
Lord. Oh my goodness. Can we move on, please?
Yes, let's move on to, okay, so this is, Kansas has obviously not had the season up to their standards, but are you in or out on Kansas still winning the Big 12 tournament?
I'm out.
I'm out.
Okay, I'm in for one specific reason. The Big 12 tournament is in Kansas City, and I know that's not Kansas, but it's a 40-minute drive away. They're going to have home court the entire Big 12 tournament. And we've seen how much home court matters, in the Big 12. So I think that's an important factor.
I think that's a good point, but I mean, out of their 7 losses this year, 6 of them are in conference play. Just in general, they're not very great in the Big 12, and that ranks them 3rd in the conference. I just don't think that they're very great. And they're 2nd in the nation in assists, so that does go to your point. So they can make something happen, but I just don't like them as a ceiling pick.
Jack?
Bill Self has given up on the team as well. I mean, they lost by 40 to Texas Tech, and Texas Tech is just not that good. So if Bill Self doesn't believe in it, and he purposely got thrown out of that game too. So if he doesn't believe in it, why should we?
Giovanni?
I love UCF basketball, but if you lose to UCF, you're fraudulent to me, especially when you're ranked number 3. Yeah, but they've been going downhill ever since that ranking, so I'm out.
All right, let's do our final one. Tennessee making its first ever Final Four.
Okay.
What is Giovanni?
Just Jack is out.
I'm in.
I'm in.
Yeah.
I'm in.
Jack, you started off.
The SEC will forever be overrated in basketball, and Tennessee doesn't have the explosiveness offensively. They play good. They play solid defense because of their length. They're so big, but they can't. If they go down, they're out. They don't have the ability to come back from 10 points in a matter of 4 or 5 minutes.
That's a great point. And in all honesty, I'm kind of 50-50 on it right now. I'm mainly just looking at their region. And they have Houston at number 1 right now and Creighton at number 3. I think that they could compete with both of those teams. And I think just in general, they'll probably have to play what? They'll play Houston in the Elite 8. So I think that's one of the best teams in the nation. But still, at the end of the day, I think it's March Madness. Anything can happen. And I think I could see a path to them making the Final Four.
Giovanni?
Well, I'm in for one reason and one player, Dalton Connect. He's averaging 20, and that's pretty hard to do in college. Great athleticism. He can shoot. He's a great wing defender. He looks like if he commits to the draft, he's looking like a Heat player, in all honesty.
Okay.
That's why I'm number 1. I'm in on him. So they're also first in the SEC, so I see it.
He also averages 24.4 points per game in SEC play, so that bodes well for their tournament chances, I think. He's a big game player. But let's end it with our primetime picks of the week. I am back to 500. Patrick is 2-4. Giovanni, I don't know your record. Jack, I don't think you've been on for it.
I think I'm 1-1.
Welcome in, Jack.
Yeah.
Giovanni's 1-1. So it's number 7 Marquette at number 12 Creighton. Start with you, Jack. Who do you got?
I got Creighton. I have, for one, inside sources of people that don't have good records have Marquette, so that was my main reasoning. But Creighton, they've shown the ability. They absolutely blew out.
Jack was referring to me, if anybody was curious. He said
They
before we
blew
went
out
on that he wanted to go
And one
opposite
thing
of
I
me.
noticed when I was watching the film and studying the tapes a lot is that Creighton, they go on these runs where they win 3 and lose 1. They don't win a lot of games in a row, but they win 3, lose 1. Right now they're on a 1-game winning streak. That means they have to win 2 more to lose 1 more. So that's the math right there.
Love the math.
Yeah.
Giovanni?
And film study.
I'm not rolling with Jack.
Yep.
I'm with Marquette.
It's an absolute lock.
I'm
now.
going with Marquette.
Absolute lock.
Marquette actually moved up to number 5 ever since
yeah,
he
they
made this
did.
graphic. So I'm going number 5 Marquette.
All right, I'm also going with Marquette. Patrick, wrap it up.
Yeah, I'm going with Marquette, too.
Oh, boy. Let's go.
They won 72-67 last
be on
time, and
next
they only
week,
shot
fellas.
36% from the field. I think they play better. I think they'll win.
All right, well, that's all the time we have for this week's episode of Nighttime. Thank you, everyone, for joining us, and we won't see you next week, but we will see you the week after. Bye. Happy Leap Day. Leap year?
Leap day.
Bye.
That was smooth.
Things gon' change when I really hit the field. Undefeated champs, man, you know what's the deal. Tryna find a kid, I'm in the field doing drills. Boy, you just a sucker, you ain't never keep it real. 3 rings in my hand, I'm a warrior to